Hey Pixel Peeps! Have you ever wanted to show off your fandoms and your nerdy obsessions but didn't want to spend a lot of money? Have you ever wanted to take your favorite Pokemon out for a walk? Have you ever wanted to get a gift for someone but didn't know what to get? We have a solution. Make a keychain! Today we're going to walk you through how to make Perler Bead Keychains and some different options you have when making them. We'll have timestamps in the description so you can jump ahead to exactly where you need to go, but I recommend you watch the whole video so you don't miss any vital tips. We're going to be looking over the materials, how to plan your project, how to iron your project, and how to assemble your Perler Bead Keychain. If you're already familiar with Perler beads, this will sound pretty standard. If you haven't had the chance to work with fused beads yet, go and check out my Getting Started with Perler Beads playlist to learn more. First off, let's get into materials. As always, you'll need your beads, a pegboard, an iron, parchment paper, and something heavy. We'll be adding a keychain kit this time around as well. I also recommend grabbing some tape and a pair of fine-tipped or needle-tipped tweezers or something thin and long to maintain the keychain whole. We'll get into that later. You'll also need at least one pair of pliers, but I recommend having two if possible. We're going to be using the regular-sized Perler beads, also called midi beads. These are what I'm familiar with the most, but I definitely want to experiment with the mini-sized beads soon. The smaller size will make the keychains easier to fit into your pockets. For today though, we're sticking to midi. We'll be using the tape method to preserve our pegboards. You can check out my tape method tutorial here if you haven't seen it just yet. Here's what the tweezers look like. This specific one is the Perler brand, used mostly for mini-sized beads, but I love using it for my regular projects. The tip is the important piece, and you'll see why in a bit. As far as the keychain making kit, you could probably find these at your nearest crafting store. I got the set off of Amazon that includes swivel lobster clasps, key rings with a chain, jump rings, and screw eye pins. We won't be using the screw eye pins for this project, but they might come in handy for something else down the line. So let's say you have your creation ready to be ironed. Before we do that, you have to make a decision. Where will you attach the keychain? We have a few options. Option number 1, attach the keychain right to the creation. Do you want your project hanging from a corner or from the center? I recommend finding a bead that has at least 2 other beads ironed to it to keep it sturdy and prevent it from breaking down the line. It would be even better if it's a bead that has 3 other beads ironed to it. In a perfect world, you'd find a bead that has 4 beads ironed to it, but that might be difficult to maneuver. Option 2. Use transparent beads to fill in the gap and attach the keychain there. You are only limited by your imagination and creativity, so use your artistic license to make a spot to attach your keychain. You can use one bead or use a few. It depends on where you want to attach your keychain, and it depends on how you feel it will affect the whole design. Option 3. Keep a gap between beads and place your keychain in the gap. This is probably my least favorite option because it doesn't seem as sturdy as the other 2 options. I feel like it will pull and put strain on the area where the beads are fused and, over time, weaken the bond between the 2 and potentially break them apart. You can use a ball chain connector clasp here if you're having difficulty with the jump ring. Also, you can add a swivel lobster clasp on top of that. So you've decided on your plan and you're ready to iron. If you're not sure which method to use or want some more specific tips, make sure to check out my How to Iron Perler Beads video. I recommend aiming for more of a flat melt to keep your piece sturdy and solid. It will prevent breaking down the line and future headaches. As you do this, be mindful of the bead you've decided to use as your anchor point. If possible, iron that specific bead a little less. You do need to iron the bead so that it fuses with its neighbor beads, but it's okay if you over iron it a little bit because we'll be able to keep the hole open using those tweezers I recommended. Iron the first side after making sure you have holes punched in your tape. Place a sturdy object over it to keep it from warping for about 5 to 10 minutes. Once it is cooled, if you feel like your bead is closed a bit too much, use your tweezers to force it open by running one end through the bead. Afterwards, remove the tape and iron the other side. Place your creation under a heavy object again for 5 to 10 minutes. Again, if that anchor bead is closing up, use the tweezers to keep it open. Hooray! Your piece is ironed! Time to make it into a keychain. Go ahead and combine the clasp with the keychain of rings and set it to the side. Open the jump ring a little bit by grabbing a pair of pliers in each hand and pry them open. If the jump ring can go through the anchor bead easily, you're good to go. If you need to jam it through to make it work, take it out and open the jump ring a little bit more. Throw the keychain into the jump ring and use the pliers to close them up again. Grab each end and push them towards one another again, and then give the ends a squeeze so that it's mostly closed. So long as your rings don't run the risk of sliding off, you should be good. If you're using midi-sized beads like me and your project is a bit larger, I recommend attaching your keychain to your bag or your purse to be styling and profiling. My partner has had a lot of conversations at work when coworkers see her Stardew Valley farmer. Thanks for keying in. If you want to keep the chain going, please share this video with someone you think might enjoy it. Until next time, peace. Peace out.